Hello, everyone. Welcome to another edition of the Stardom Road podcast here on the Count Out Podcast Network. I'm your host, as always, Scott Edwards. We are back after a few-week hiatus because maybe someone went on vacation and then was also sick. So my apologies. Didn't even hide
It's
that
crazy
one.
because normally someone's gone on vacation would normally
And
be pointing
sick.
in one
And
direction.
sick.
Yeah.
You did
Mm.
both as well earlier this
Yeah,
year.
but the difference is I've been here when I've been sick, so
Yeah, no, that's true.
yeah.
Sorry. I'm not
To
going to
be fair,
explain my
you
sick.
were I've been sick, you were sick. There's
Yeah.
layers to this. So
I was
yeah,
like, I'm not moving.
legitimately you wouldn't have been able to record. There's a difference.
It got worse. Like I stupid. Hello, everyone. Welcome to the show. I'm with Trent, of course. Trent, welcome to the show. We'll do our
Mhm.
usual. We'll do our usual. How you doing, Trent? In a second. But I want to explain to the people why we missed a week. I
Mm.
was on vacation and we were like, oh, okay, we'll record right as I get back because it's like, why prepare? Why do it ahead of time when we could just do it the day or two before, as we always do, which we are doing literally
Yeah.
today.
Yeah.
Why would we? So I get back. I'm sick as a dog. I the first day I recorded Ring Post Radio like an idiot was dead, but that was during the day. The difference is me and Trent record at nighttime. For me,
Mm.
when you're sick at night, for at least for me, I'm like, I'm not doing anything. I'm not moving. So I apologize, but we made sure to come back with a big episode, a humongous, exciting episode, and that, of course, is Io Shirai versus Mayu Iwatani. You probably know where this story goes, the main story of these two. We're not gonna go through the entire history of them. We're not going to break down every little part of Thunder Rock. That's another episode idea. We're not taking
Mm.
that. We're doing that another time. But we are going to talk about that 1 year period of rivalry that they especially had, of course, that ended with the big double title match. But Trent, welcome to the show. How the hell are you?
Oh well, I'm better than you. Yeah, I know you're feeling better. That's why we're here and we're able to record. But I'm doing well. Things are going well. Like in the world of wrestling, because I consider that sport. Yeah, in the world of sport, I'm doing well because at the time of we're recording, we've just been watching the NBA basketball. Boston Celtics are through to the NBA Finals. Even though I'm not in America, I'm a Boston Celtics fan, so I'm happy.
Big win.
The Formula One Grand Prix this weekend was in Monaco. Charles Leclerc, my favourite driver, he won. My second favourite driver, the Australian Oscar Piastri, he came second. So I'm in a really good sporting mood. Like things are going well for me. I feel like I need to pick up a new sport and pick a favourite. So if you want me to follow a baseball team or a hockey
How's your
team,
favorite
get into
wrestlers
my
doing?
DMs, tell me a team to follow because now's the time for me to get on board. Your team will win.
So your favorite wrestlers doing well? Like I know Mayu's doing well, obviously, but like
Mayu's
anyone
doing
else?
well. She's a champion. Well, a lot of my favorite wrestlers are retired right now. Utami's doing well, not in Stardom, but
Yes,
she's
but we did
in
see
a prominent
Jungle.
position.
We did see
Yes,
Jungle Kiona on the Hana show, as a firefighter or something. That was nice.
yeah. She's doing firefighting in Nagoya, her hometown, and she was able to climb a mountain
Yes.
in
See?
honor of Hana Kimura, which she
More
wasn't able
wins.
to do. So, yeah, slow progress with her knee. So things are going well. Hamaika's becoming a referee for one night only. Things
Yeah.
are on the up and up in the world of Trent-centric favorites.
And and
She is
and
back. She was injured. She's back.
and Mariah has momentum again. All is well in the world of Trent.
Yes.
For me, I mean, I am also a Celtics fan, so that's nice.
Mhm.
That is nice life here. Um, but yeah, Mayu's champion.
Mm.
That's been that way.
Your new
Sari
favorite, Brazilla, dominating.
Sari is calling herself the Ace of Marigold and has a target on her back the size of I don't I
Brazilla.
don't size of Bozilla. Actually, no, Bozilla's the only one that likes her on the roster, so that's nice. That worked
Mm.
out.
For now. For now.
The super team of Sari and Bozilla is working out, so things are going okay there. But
Mm.
let's just get to the show, shall we? We are talking about something very special today. Like I said, Io Shirai versus Mayu Iwatani. For many, this is how many got into Stardom. This rivalry, whether it been years after this rivalry happened, whether it been when the rivalry was happening itself, it Hell, it could be even now. This is the rivalry that stands the test of time in Stardom history. It is the most important rivalry in the company's history. It is, of course, if you made a Mount Rushmore of Stardom, this is 1 and 2. That's how
Yes.
important this is. So happy to dive
Those
in.
two are non-negotiable.
No,
I did an article ages ago with Ryan, owner of Resura, and we did like the Mount Rushmore of Stardom. The 1 and 2 were non-negotiable. It was Io and Mayu, and we debated the other 2, but you couldn't debate those 2.
right. And that should say all you need to know. So Trent will be taking the lead because Trent wrote a wonderful article over on Wrestle In Once Upon a Time for this exact story. So it's only right that he did all the studying to write that. So, obviously I've seen the matches. Obviously I've watched the matches. I
Mhm.
watched the rivalry, but I know that Trent can lead us through, and I will piggyback on what he is, bringing up. So this should be a lot of fun. So sit back, relax, and enjoy the show. Trent, over to you.
So as you kind of mentioned, like we're not going to go too deep into the history of Thunder Rock because like it's a whole other episode, and like both of these two wrestlers have such a deep history into both of their time in Stardom, and that's like multiple episodes, and we only have one episode to cover the rivalry, but. For people who maybe aren't fully aware of the time, then like if you are an Io Shirai fan as Io Sky in WWE, or you've come into Stardom in the past few years and got to know Mai, but you don't really know the full story. I think it's important just to give a little bit of background information as to where these two kind of came into prominence within Stardom. So obviously, Mai's been there from the beginning. Io Shirai came in very, very early on. She was basically there within the first year and established herself within that first year as, if not the big star to come within Stardom, as one of the heirs to the throne.
Mhm,
Once the old hand had kind of established what was going to be in Stardom, she was going to be taking the reins very early on. She was really she was the first of the next generation to win the top championship,
mhm,
which happened in 2013 at Ryogoku Hall. Very fittingly, Shizuki Aikawa was leaving the company, who was the original ace of the company, the one that they were going to be building around, the white belt champion who never lost the title. When the very night that she was leaving Stardom, Io Shirai won the red belt. She won it from Alpha Female, who was a transitional champion. But that was kind of cementing like Io Shirai was going to be the person to lead Stardom forward, the
mhm,
true like top star to be. Uh,
yeah.
by that time, like her and Mayu had started to work together a little bit. Thunder Rock wasn't like they'd been named. They weren't really the team we would know and love yet, but they'd started to work together a little bit.
Yeah, I always like to talk about these two as Io was the second longest reigning ace of Stardom's history. Of course,
Mhm.
Mayu's first, Mayu's still rolling on along, but, Io's importance to this company should, it kinda goes without saying. Obviously, her importance actually still lasts to today. When
Mm.
people see Io Sky, of course, in WWE, people say, "Oh, well, where'd she come from?" I am one of to do that. That is how I got into Joshi. Is Io Shirai? She was Io Shirai at the time, so I'm always going to call her Io Shirai. Um, and you know, she and Mayu were in many two-thirds of freedom, obviously, but pretty much like treated as like the daughters of course, Rossi Ogawa, right? They're not
Mm.
actually the kids of Rossi, but they were. And these two, of course, led Stardom to new heights that maybe were never imaginable at one time. And it's with Io's title reigns, of course, with the World of Stardom Championship specifically, that helped bring Stardom to prominence and ultimately helped bring Mayu Iwatani to
Mhm.
prominence through this very rivalry that we're going to talk about. They had countless incredible matches, some of the greatest matches in history of pro wrestling, I'd argue. And of course, that is where we go today. Like you said, Thunder Rock, was there in name at the start, not necessarily the incredible tag team that they'd go on to become soon after. But seeing Io when she first became world champion compared to where Mayu was at the time is always a fun thing to look back because Mayu was still climbing the ranks and figuring out who she was as a wrestler, while Io was getting that first chance at running the company essentially as the ace. But as we saw even recently, when Mayu made it back to America, these two are still as close as can be. And it's always lovely to kind of go back and re-watch and revisit this rivalry because, like I said, it's the most important in this company's history.
Absolutely. And you make it's an important point you make there where Mayu was in
Mhm.
relation to Io Shirai. Because when we're talking about especially the rivalry that we're going to really be covering, that difference in ability and where the standing is in the company really drives that story forward. In these first few years, obviously Io had a couple of years head start in pro wrestling compared to Mayu. But Mayu took a few years to really find herself as a pro wrestler. Io Shirai was better, quicker, and by the time she won the red belt, Mayu Iwatani was still very much on the up and up, still finding her way. She won her first championship, which was the Artist of Stardom Championship, while Io was in the middle of her red belt run. And Thunder Rock, they were here and there, thereabouts, but they didn't really start to click fully until I would say after Io Shirai dropped the red belt
Mhm.
because she was busy with that championship. When
Yeah.
you're the top champion, you've got to focus in on that. Mayu Iwatani was kind of growing in other ways, and they would team together a few times. They were obviously a part of Team Planet for a while, which also featured channel favorite Arisa Hoshiki. They would team together as part of the Haisaigun team, which featured Yoshiko. Also would feature very, very young Hazuki, who obviously at that time was going by the name of Ryo Hazuki, uh, and obviously Takumi Iroha, who is another favourite amongst ours as well, won the artist titles with them as well. But as we're getting through here, she's established herself. She's one of the top stars. 2015 hits. We haven't covered it really on the show yet. It's one of those things where we're kicking the bottle, the can down the road as far as we can. The incident with Act Yoshikawa and Act and Yoshiko changes the landscape of Stardom completely. And then the onus gets onto the three daughters of Stardom, Io Shirai, Mayu Iwatani, Kari Hojo. They have to really step up and lead Stardom forward. And 2015 really is when they do it. Mayu Iwatani gets her big break. Really, this is when she does, when she wins the Cinderella tournament. Kari Hojo wins the World of Stardom Championship, which then she loses to Miko, which then Io Shirai wins. That in of itself, we've talked about that a bit with Miko
Yes.
Satomora's year with Stardom and what that did for the company, which
Mhm.
all sets up 2016, which is what we're really diving into today.
Yes, 2016, one of the most important years, obviously, in Stardom's history, kicking off the very prestigious rivalry between these two. You think back to the importance of Threedom at the time, which is, of course, a conversation we've had on the Mako Satomura shows that you can check out anytime
Mhm,
here on the podcast feed. Uh, and how important it was to kind of tell that story in that match that Io has with Mako, of course, again, one of the best in Stardom's history.
mhm,
Um, and she channels her Threedom sisters with each of their moves within that match to put away Mako. And
mm,
the rivalry that we get to here today, you see them start as the friendly duo, and by the end, they are no longer friends. It is a full-on rivalry as Io looks at Mayu beneath her, and that's when you watch within this feud Mayu reach Io Shirai's level, and from
mm,
that point, Mayu never leaves that level again. She only continues to go up. She only continues to get better. She only continues to prove she is the icon of Stardom. Without this rivalry, without these important matches, we don't get there. And that's the beauty of going back and reliving this rivalry, especially for, us two, two people who obviously love everything Mayu has done. This is as important as it gets in her career. It's the story that I always look to, right? And with Mayu in Stardom, now you look at feuds with, say, Tam Nakano, Starlight Kid, and you look at them and you kind of see comparisons to the Io story that Mayu
mm,
felt and how they are trying to overcome Mayu. And that's the beauty of the long-term storytelling that really is Mayu Iwatani's career. And that's why I think everyone, if you have gotten to Stardom the past 2 years, if you got into Stardom a decade ago and you know this story, if you got into Stardom literally today, this is the story you want to know from its history, I think, more than anything else. This is the 1-year run, the 1-year rivalry that you need to know. And it's the best way to get into Stardom completely, I think, if you want to experience Stardom storytelling. Right? There's always matches. You can always pick and choose
Mm,
matches, which this feud has. You will pick and choose a match
for
from this
sure.
very easily. But there's something about knowing the story, witnessing the story, and seeing the culmination of it that really gives you the Stardom experience.
This basically tells the Stardom storytelling in a nutshell, because all three primary matches that we're looking at, all three singles matches, tell a story in of itself. You can watch each singular match in a vacuum, and the match will tell a story that makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
Or you can take a step back and look at the entire story over the year and a half that this story takes place. And it all makes sense. It's all a logical flowing story. That's something Stardom does do very well. When you follow the Stardom either tell single stories really well or they do long stories really well. It's kind of the midterm storytelling they often struggle with. But whenever you look at Utami versus Shuri, or the long, like Maya and Starlight Kid, Maya and Tam Nakano that you kind of reference, they do that really well because it feels
Mm-hmm.
like they take a step back and go, how can we really do this properly?
Well, they did do it really well.
Yeah. So when you take that step back and you look at these three matches, Maya and Io Shirai, it all just clicks into place perfectly.
Yeah.
To follow it properly, you kind of need to, you don't need to go to the Cinderella tournament in 2016, but that's where it kind of begins. Maya wins the Cinderella tournament for the second straight year. She decides to challenge for the red belt, which, obviously the champion at this time is Io Shirai. And Io's a little bit cocky about it, but she gets it. It's like, yeah, sure, let's see what you got. Let's have a bit of fun with this. They have fought previously. It's actually like, considering their difference in levels, it's actually been a closer, one-on-one battle than you would expect. They fought in the five-star Grand Prix earlier to a time limit draw. It's not Io running away with it as you might
Mm-hmm.
expect. But Mayu has never really proven herself on the main event stage yet. This May
Right.
Gold match, which, to give you the official date so you can go and find it if you haven't watched it yet, it is May 15th, 2016, also known as Stardom Gold May. This is on Stardom World, so be sure to check it out if you haven't seen it. This is one of the first matches I remember seeing in Stardom, and it just completely blew me away because it is so unlike any sort of women's wrestling I'd really seen at the time.
Mm-hmm.
It is such a brilliantly executed match. And even before, like when I came into Stardom, I thought Maya was like, she was instantly became my favorite wrestler of the three. I picked up that maybe she was treated as the third of the threedom, but I just watching this match, it made me appreciate how they presented her as the underdog to Io Shirai. But it's not necessary because she is just not as good. It's just she wasn't at that level yet in kayfabe. That
Mm-hmm.
they did such a good job of presenting that without making her look inferior. It's just brilliantly done. Io Shirai plays her role to perfection, and you can tell that they've been looking forward to this position for a long time. They've been looking forward to being able to just go out there and kind of just like, let's go out there and just put on the best match we can possibly have. Io Shirai is coming off really a match of the year just a few months prior against Miko Satomura, December 2015, which I think a lot of people still point to as, if you want Stardom's all-time best matches, that's still on the short list. And then they put on, for me, another one that you would put on their short list here in the May Gold Classic, as I consider it.
Yeah, you go to this first match, and it's the building block to the
Mm,
remainder. The other two matches. The second match obviously goes down in history as maybe Stardom's greatest match ever. At
mm,
least it's in the debate. But the other two, starting with this one, deserve their own respect because again, you have a better appreciation for these matches, especially if you're going back to watch them. Maybe you hadn't watched it in real time or near real time. If you go back and watch them in order, you have a better appreciation. I think each match in a row, you see the growth of Mayu through each match,
Mm,
right? This match, it's not like you said, it's not that she's underqualified. It's just she hasn't got there yet.
mm,
She hasn't figured out how to best Io Shirai. Io Shirai is just a step above her. And you are seeing her learn within this first match. Where am I not clicking? Like, where
mm.
do I need to be at her best? Because I know I have it in me. It's a matter of, can I get to that level? And that's the beauty of these three matches. It's why I love watching. Like, if I watch this one, I have to then watch the other two in short order,
Yeah.
or it's like I'm missing the greatness of this entire series.
Mm.
You watch rivalries in wrestling, and I don't know if there's a trilogy of matches in a year span besides. Actually, no, I'm going to stick with that tell the story to perfection, right? Because even like Omega and Okada, that took longer than a year, right? You had multiple
Needed a fourth
matches
match.
to get to that culmination. This one perfectly tells the story in three, and it all starts with, like you said, Gold May, a match you should go check out. If you're wondering, and I want to do this because I feel like it's, people love their match ratings, people love things like that. This is Mayu's seventh best match ever per cage
Mhm.
match. It is
Per cage match, per cage
per
match.
cage
I
match.
disagree with that ranking. I recently did my own ranking on Razura, rating Mayu's greatest matches of all time. It is not my seventh greatest Mayu match. I'm just saying
The fact that you put them in order is actually more impressive. I don't think I could ever order them.
that.
Um, because like I'd watch one and they'd be like, oh, but this is okay. Anyways,
It
so this
was
is
tough. It was fun, but it was tough.
this is seventh. Um, all three are in her top 10. That is what I'm
Mm,
hinting at here. That's kind of the reason I wanted to bring that into conversation. But if you want to witness this rivalry, you do need to watch this match. While you may see the
mm,
second and third ranked where they are in her history, or in Io's history as well. I don't want to just think this is just the Mayu's history.
mm.
For those wondering, on Io's list, uh, it is hmm, it is sixth actually. So there you go. Um, which
That
is interesting.
instantly tells you Mayu's match history is more impressive than Io's.
Yeah, which I mean, if you listen to the show, you should know that already, but that's fine. Uh, but anyways, we can now continue forward. I just want
This match to me, I think when we're talking about like where this match falls and rankings, all of that, I referred to this in the rankings article I did. I look to this match as the Batman Begins of the trilogy. It's not as
mhm,
bombastic as the other two necessarily. It's a little bit more subdued, but it so perfectly establishes what's to come.
yeah,
And it's so essential to that setup. And what it actually sets out to do is so perfect that
yeah.
it, I think, maybe gets a little underrated because of that. Like, yes, the sequel is probably better. Yes, the Dark Knight is
This is
bigger and does
very
things more
Dark Knight
grander.
trilogy. This entire
Yeah.
rivalry is very exact to that. I think.
Mm. But like a lot of people go back and say, you know what, Batman Begins is actually underrated
Ooh,
when looking at the grand scale of things, and I think that's what this May Gold match is to me.
uh-huh.
And what's important here is that this match is a match between two friends. They're fighting like rivals, but ultimately it's a match between two friends. And
Right.
at the end of the match, they've fought hard. Mayu started off a little tentative because obviously she's going up against someone far stronger than her. She's trying to work out how best to deal with someone who knows their every move and all of that. But she comes really close to beating Io. She's put her best foot forward. She's impressed Io Shirai at the end of this. And Io takes a step back in the post-match comment. She says, "One person I really want to say thank you to is Mayu Iwatani. We're Thunder Rock partners, but you're like my little sister, my cute little sister, but you brought
Hmm.
it today, you little brat." And I think it's really important, like looking at the wording of that. It
Hmm.
shows how close the bond is, but it shows Io's mindset going in, which is important when we look at what happens moving forward here. Io wanted to see Mayu bring it because the
Hmm.
gap between them over the years has been so big. But Io's worked with Mayu so much as part of Thunder Rock, they've been tag champions here. She knows what Mayu is capable of. Because
Mm-hmm.
Mayu at her best has been in Thunder Rock. She has seen the best of Mayu Iwatani. It's just a matter of bringing it out all the time. Mayu brought it here at May Gold. Just the question now, does she bring it? Does this become the new normal, or does she fall back to her old ways?
Right.
Unfortunately, in the Io Shirai's mind, it would become the latter.
There is something beautiful about this rivalry because when it ends, it is supposed to be handing Mayu the keys to Stardom as Io is
Mm.
supposed to be leaving. So in many ways, this feud is I need you to get there. I
Mm-hmm.
need you to be at the level that I am, if not better, to carry Stardom forward. And I think that's such a beautiful part of the story. And like you said, you kind of see it as it goes, right? You will see as we get to the turn, which everyone knows about, but we'll act like we don't. When we get to the turn of Io on Mayu, it forces Mayu to okay, listen, she's no longer the one that's protecting me. That is over. And it's what makes the other two matches, like you said, if to take the Dark Knight into the conversation, it's what makes those two so special. It just elevates the game of Mayu and
Mm.
thus the match itself. Um, yeah, it's just this this first match. If you do go and watch it, which you should, if you're listening to this episode,
Pause
um,
the episode, watch the match, come back.
yes, you'll have a great appreciation for what these two were doing at the time, just as pro
Mm.
wrestlers. They were
Yep.
at such a high level, especially like you said, like this match was like, this is what women's wrestling can be because you know
Mm.
outside of what was this 2016,
2016.
right? Yes.
It was
You're
starting, America was
it's
starting to
right.
realize.
America was kicking into gear. These two are on another level. And I think that's
Yeah.
the beauty of this feud is you see how great wrestling can be. Mayu still talks about it now, like why
Mm.
women's wrestling is so special and why she feels, as the icon. She calls herself the icon of women's wrestling now for a reason. It's that she feels that they can tell stories and do things that other, men can't. And I
Mm.
think that's so important. And again, you feel that through this feud.
Yeah.
Every step of the way. The story, the matches, the athleticism. We're talking about Io
Mm-hmm.
Shirai here. Io Shirai, I think, is one of the most impressive pro wrestlers ever. Just, she makes wrestling look so easy that her coasting is better than like 95% of professional wrestlers.
And this isn't her coasting.
No, she does not coast in
This is
this
her
feud.
when she's turning it up that extra gear. This
Yeah,
is
she's
literally this time period to me is Io at her best.
yeah,
This second red belt run, especially in the matches where she really wanted to turn it on, to me, this is peak Io Shirai.
yeah,
If you've not really focused during this era for her, tune in,
yeah.
especially when you're getting Mayu Iwatani in 2016, where this is when it's really starting to click for her. And when
Mm-hmm.
she gets the right opponent, bam. It's a different Mayu to 2024. It's not a better Mayu, but against the right opponent,
Yeah.
against the Io Shirai, there's something very special here.
I mean, Mayu's on a different universe these days, to be fair. So
Yes.
it's like
Mm.
unfair. But no, I know exactly you and the beauty of Mayu, and I always say this, like when we went back to that first show, our very first episode, or second
Mm.
episode, maybe Birth of Nova. You see, like it's as raw as it gets with Mayu, but you just see the little things that she
Yeah.
turns into her greatness. And you see it here. You see the little things that she turns into what she is now, even.
Mm.
She was. It's crazy to think that in the midst of her greatest feud, she was far from a complete product.
Yeah.
And, that's the conversation I have with the likes of like Utami now, for example, right? Utami's greatest feud is Utami versus Shuri. She was far from being the best Utami at that point. right? It's the best that take that step and take the perfect feud and grow from it. And again, this is the perfect definition of that, I think, in pro wrestling history.
Well, funnily enough, like, we're talking Utami. Utami right now has had about the same amount of experience as Mayu's got around this time. The feud that we're talking about.
To be fair, Utami was a super rookie. Mayu was not.
But it gives you an idea of maybe like
Yeah,
looking at trajectories. Like
I got you.
we've got to be
So what you're
excited.
saying is Utami's going to be even better in 5 years. That's what you're saying.
Well, there's reason to be excited. If I know it doesn't scale the same way. Mayu's a very special case, but could you imagine?
Utami's like growth, like her. If you were to like make a scale of how she grows, it's more on the Io scale. But I understand like what we're saying
Mm,
here. Like in comparison,
yeah.
I understand what we're you kind of
We
turned
just
it
need
on.
Utami to start busting out a moon stomp like Io used to do.
She doesn't need to do that. She just like throws people and then sticks her tongue out and it's fine.
The new rule.
It's a good gimmick.
Moving forward. So, like, I'm talking about with Mayu maybe relaxing things a bit and not taking things too seriously. That's an important thing to note because a month later, Thunder Rock lose their tag titles. Oedo Tai beat them. Now, obviously, there was some heelish antics because it's Oedo Tai. They
Of
do their
course.
thing, but Mayu Iwatani is ultimately the one who takes the pinfall. Don't want to say she cost them the title, but she's the one who ultimately takes the fall. A few months after that, they lose the artist titles, also to Oedo Tai. Mayu Iwatani also maybe could be blamed, point fingers at that. So over the course of a couple of months, this invincible Three Daughters of Stardom, this Freedom outfit, Mayu Iwatani, you think is, all systems go, firing is better than ever
Oh, I didn't
after
get
this
my
May
cheap
Gold
plug
match. But
in.
yeah, cheap plug away. Go
I
for it.
did. I actually did a review of Golden May over on my
Mhm.
YouTube channel. I forgot like a few months ago. So go check that out. I do actually plan to do all three of them eventually. I just got lazy. But continue.
What's the name of your YouTube channel?
Scott E Wrestling. It's very easy, very simple. I don't think
Just
there's
in case
many on
people
there.
don't know.
There's
Mhm.
3 videos on there. One's Mayu versus Io from Golden May. The other is, I think it was Mayu versus Mina, the New Japan match, because I didn't have another way to review it. So I was like, I'll just do it here. And Mayu versus Kagetsu as well from Kagetsu
I'm
Step Day Work.
sensing a pattern here.
See, the funny thing is, I stopped doing the videos because I didn't want to do another Mayu one. And then I was like, well, I don't want to do anything else right now. I was like, I kind of just want to watch Mayu matches, so I'm going back in time.
Mm.
But go check that out as well. I do plan to do all 3. So if you want more of this content eventually, go check that out.
If
But
you
let's
want a
get
bit more of a deeper dive into that match, check that one out. And periodically check the video, the channel, in case he's done the other ones by this point. In case you're listening to this in the future.
yes, good. Hey, good plug. Good, thank you. Good plug. This is
There
why
you go.
we're podcast partners.
Yeah,
All right.
we're a tag team. We're our own Thunder Rock,
Yeah.
and a far inferior Thunder Rock.
Fuck.
So the artist
Without a
title's
doubt.
gone. The goddess title's gone. But they're entering the Goddess of Stardom Tag League. Now, obviously, they've had success here before. Thunder Rock, they know how to win this. You would expect them to do pretty well here. They're doing okay. Like they've got a winning record, but things maybe aren't looking as smoothly as they should. The teamwork's not where it used to be. Entering the final night, they've got to win to advance.
Mm-hmm.
They should win in theory. Like they're looking into a situation where they're facing a rookie team in the semifinals. Not just any rookie team, a rookie team that you guys might be semi-familiar with. J.K. Green, Momo Watanabe, Jungle Kyona. I think a team that we would both kind of favor if it was against just about any other duo other than Thunder Rock.
It's
Yeah.
very us. It's very Stardom Road pilled. However, there's nothing more Stardom Road pilled than Thunder Rock. So tough.
Yeah, it's like just the one team that they couldn't beat. Because you love Momo, I love Jungle, but we both love Thunder Rock. Mayu
Yes.
Iwatani passes up the hot tag here because here's the thing: Mayu's kind of realizing that she's letting the team down. She's sensing Io's disappointment, so instead of like taking it too easy, now she's trying to do too much. So she passes up a hot tag attempt, tries to regain the momentum by herself, and basically loses the opportunity to take control of the match as a team. Then Mayu tries to go for Dragon Suplex, Io goes for a drop kick, hold the team, go for the drop kick, knock out there. Doesn't work. Momo moves out of the way. Io Shirai accidentally hits Mayu with the drop kick. The teamwork is not working here. They somehow manage to claw together a victory. They go through to the final, but it's not working out. They need to just get together. They need to reconfigure. They need to work things out before they get through to the final, because they got passed against a couple of rookies, but the final is not going to be so easy because they've got to face a far more established team against Yoko Bito, Kari Hojo. These two, they're established teams, former champions together. They go in, they're trying to make this work. Teamwork's still not quite there. This time, Mayu Iwatani actually accidentally catches Io with a super kick that was meant for Kairi. Still fighting, still trying to hang on. Mayu catches Kairi kind of in that dragon suplex situation. Io goes for a knockout blow, similar to the semi-final match. Kairi breaks free, but unlike last time where Io sort of has too much momentum and takes Mayu Iwatani out, this time she manages to pull a strike. So there's that kind of pause there where Mayu's lost Kairi, Io pulls the strike. Cool, teamwork's still there. And it's not. Io, after that pause, goes, hits Mayu anyways. The Shoryuken kind of strike that she does. It's very clear here that was not an accidental strike. That was not a miscommunication, thought the opponent was still there. She's decided to strike Mayu Iwatani. Mayu's a little bit dumbfounded here. Like I think she realizes what's going on, but in her mind just can't compute. Like Io wouldn't do that to her. She must have misread the situation. Maybe everything's moving too quickly, and she thought, Kyrie's gotten away later than she realized. So she goes to try and tag Io back in, and Io just drops off the apron. She walks away. Kairi and Yoko, they're confused. Like this isn't the EO they know, but they've got a match to win. They want to be Goddess of Stardom tournament winners. So they finish the job on Mayu Iwatani. They win the match. They win the Goddess Tag League, but there's a bit of a sour note to the whole night, the whole sort of moment. This isn't like a happy, celebratory kind of situation, because this isn't happiness. Like Thunder Rock, what's going on here? Io gets into the ring after the match. Mayu's shocked. She's confused. And then Io just spells it out for him. And this is, quote word for word. This match, unfortunately, isn't on Stardom World at the moment. It got lost
Fantastic
in the,
match, though.
yeah, great match. It's gone. This particular, the post match comments and stuff, I found a while back just randomly, like it was on Reddit video, like a Reddit video thing. I've saved that. I've put it up on YouTube. You can find it. Like if you go to the article that I wrote, I've got the video there. Still there for now. I don't know if I'll ever get deleted, but I saved the quote as well just in case. And here's what she says. Early this year, you won the Cinderella tournament. Then you challenged me for the red belt. Okay, so far so good. Then I beat you, and what did you do? I'm getting stronger, and you're getting weaker. What's wrong with you? When you challenged me for the red belt, your eyes were on fire. What about now? You need to work harder, you idiot. You're not carrying your weight in Thunder Rock, so I'll stand against you. I'm through with you. Today, Thunder Rock is finished. Io Shirai is she's leaving Thunder Rock. She makes it clear to Kairi, I'm done with you as well. And she has words for Yoko Bito as well. But this moment, it's done. She's done with she's sick of quote unquote carrying her. She's doing her own thing. Now, later on, she introduces someone else and all of that. But specifically for this feud, for what we're talking about, this is kind of the breaking point. This is the moment where everything changes and the trajectory of the story takes a real turn.
Man, I remember watching this for the first time, and I thought I was watching it live. It's heartbreaking. It's
Mm.
like, it's like one of those things. It's the great wrestling turn where it's like, well, actually, and then they do it, and it's like, no,
Yeah.
no. Like I knew it was coming, but no, and the promo is so perfect from
Mm.
Io because you could take it as just her turning on her because she got, you're not holding up your side. I look at it as I want you to wake up. I want you
Mm.
to be greater. And the only way you're going to do that is if I oppose you. And we see that quote later in the second match where, you know, Io says, "I'm going to be the wrestler that you want, that Mayu
Yep.
Iwatani wants to surpass," and that's the beauty of this feud. When it kicks into gear after that match, by the way, again, great match. If you ever find it, have fun. I found it once upon a time. That was good enough for me. But it's the beauty of this story, and you know, this also, of course, you see Queen's Quest formed from here. You see stars, and you Stardom takes shape in many ways because of
Mm.
this. The Stardom that you all know and love today, like faction wise, of course, not Io's not there, but you get my point. Um, but it's so perfectly done. It's so perfectly done. It brings you into that second match at year end climax
Mhm.
where it's now personal. It's now a
Yep.
rivalry. It went from we are tag partners to Mayu needing to overcome Io.
Mm.
And it's just it's so perfect.
It's done so well because, and it's exactly what you say, like, on the surface, it looks like EO's just kind of being very selfish and like, "I'm sick of carrying you, I want to do my own thing." And even, like, in the formation of Queen's Quest, she talks about, "I'm picking people now who can kind of carry themselves and are focused on building themselves up and have that drive." But, like, as you sort of say, like, as the story builds, you see, like, that's not actually the focus. All she wants to do is get Mayu to the point where she is able to get that fire inside. And this is almost like, in a way, Io's sacrificing her image for the sake of Mayu. Now,
Mhm.
she's not really sacrificing her image because she looks badass in especially early Queen's Quest. It's a
Yeah,
very
and
kind of
she's
badass look
Io.
for her. Yeah, it's Io, she pulls it off. But, like, it's just that kind of concept of the, heroic baby face going heel, doing what must be done. If I may quote, either die a hero or become the villain
Mm,
to do what has to be done here. Um, and it works because Mayu, like, in the moment, she's a crying mess. Like, she doesn't take this well. Like, even as Io's kind of calling her out, like, what are you going to do? Mayu doesn't fire up in this moment. She's, heads down. She's tearful. She's not kind of responding or anything.
long
All
burn, baby.
Kyrie's, yeah, Kyrie's trying to cheer up and say, "It's okay. You're doing well. We're here for you." Which is hilarious in hindsight when, like, the Mayu Kyrie feud at Historic Crossover happens, and Mayu's like, "I never liked you. I was friends with Io, I wasn't friends with you." And you look back at this moment, it's hilarious. But yeah, a couple of weeks later, you see Mayu, like, focus to Io really change. And in the preview tag matches they do at like Shinkiba and stuff, she's really fired up. She's approaching Io Shirai a lot differently. And like, she takes the fight to Io in that match with Momo Watanabe, and maybe would have done stuff if Momo Watanabe doesn't go and turn on Mayu Iwatani and then join Queen's Quest as well. That betrayal doesn't really hit as hard because Momo wasn't really as attached to Mayu Iwatani, but just that kind of set the standard of, oh, everyone turns on Mayu Iwatani. That was kind of the start of the meme for a lot of people. Io and then Momo turning in the course of a couple of weeks. But it all builds to the year-end climax. Mayu gets a kind of fluke roll-up pin on Io in the lead to year-end
Mhm.
climax. So ha ha ha, I can do it. Now I'm going to do it at year-end climax. And this match, very different to the first match. Obviously, like, the stakes are different, the alignments are very different. Is it a good match? Oh, is it a good match?
Yeah, I'd say it's pretty good. Uh, hot take, arguably. No, it's one of the greatest matches of all time.
Mm.
That's what it is. No, that is not me sugarcoating it. That is me saying the truth. This match is 17 minutes long. It is it is the ultimate. It is I can't say the ultimate Stardom main event anymore because Stardom main events are so different in like the bigger
Mm.
venues. This is the ultimate Cork and Hall Stardom match. Not main event, just match. The atmosphere, the importance, the story. This This match is what Stardom is at its best.
Mm.
And I think for many fans who may have been longtime fans, maybe this is what they miss the most and have for the Bushiroad era is this.
Mm.
Um, it is Io Shirai at her very fucking best. Emphasis needed because Io Shirai is otherworldly sometimes. This is one of those times. She is otherworldly. And Mayu Iwatani, you see her grow. The beauty of Mayu's trilogies and rivalries is that you see her grow within them. I always love to talk about the Takumi one because it's a two match trilogy, right? You see her get absolutely
Zoology.
destroyed. Match right, sorry. Uh you see her get
The
destroyed.
name.
Yeah, you see her get this. I understand that. I'm just in the moment, okay? God. In the first match, she gets destroyed, right? The second match, she then becomes a killer. She learns from that. She is,
Mm.
I am going to destroy you back. And in this match, you see Mayu have some more confidence, but she's not there yet because Io's
Mm.
just on another level. That's just the facts, right? This is the match that, and like I said, this is the match that Io says, I am still the one that you need to surpass. You are
Mm.
not on my level. You're closer. You're closer. And this is the beauty of like the Starlight Kid Mayu thing, right? You see it every year that they ran it. Then things happened last year, so it didn't run. But you saw it every year. It's the growth. It's
Mm.
what you take from. Mayu takes from her past. Mayu takes from this story to make other stories greater because she's been on that side. It's freaking unbelievable. It is incredible. Like we said with the first match, it can be on the short list of best matches in Stardom history. This is a locked in one of the best matches, arguably the best match in Stardom history. The shortest of lists, right? It is like if there's 5 matches on this list, on that list, this is one of them. If there's 3 matches on that list, this is one of them. That's the conversation we're having here, folks. This
Yeah.
feud's an all-timer for a reason, and it's because the middle one just brings it to another level that sets you up for Mayu's gonna have her day. And
Mm.
when she does, it's gonna be special. This might have not been it, but damn it, was she close.
I think you can make an argument that Mayu Iwatani at this point, December 2016, is good enough to beat Io Shirai in December
Mm-hmm.
2016. The issue here is she overcompensates.
Mm.
May 2016, she's a little hesitant. She's a little unsure of herself. She doesn't fully believe in herself. She gets told, you don't have enough fire inside of you. So December 2016, she comes in too hot. She goes for killer blows from the very start. Io Shirai offers the handshake. She's trying to play mind games with her. She goes for dragon suplex off of that. She's looking for those killer blows from the start. And I think there's a fair call because she knows that maybe Io Shirai is the better wrestler. So she's going for the knockout blow from the start. Every chance she gets, she's going for the springboard poison rana, the two-stage dragons, all those, apron dragon suplexes. She's looking for the killer blow. And she's telegraphing it so Io Shirai is able to counter her at key moments. And that's ultimately what comes to be her undoing. But Io, I think she realizes like she's unleashed a monster here. And once Mayu learns to control it, to bring it into line, that she can finally go to WWE. She can finally go and move forward with her career because this Mayu Iwatani is about ready to lead Stardom forward. This is a tremendous match. This is at the very worst top 3 all-time Stardom match for me, and I would probably put it top 1 if I'm being honest. In preferential preference, subjective stuff, it's probably my favorite Stardom match of all time. Definitely a little bit of bias because of the timing of it, and look, obviously Stardom outgrowing Kirk and Hall is a objectively good thing. Them being able to run arenas and put 3,000 people in Ryogoku Hall, that's a good thing for the business. But when you have a Kirk and Hall that is jam packed, and you get the audible sound that's coming from a packed Kirk and Hall versus the kind of drowned out ho hum arena that can't quite get the sound proper, it just creates a very different atmosphere. And that Pat Kirk and Hall going wild for this kind of match is just a different beast. I absolutely adore this match. obviously, like, if you are this far into this episode and you haven't watched this series yet, go and watch it. I have some slightly bad news for you. This is the one match of the trilogy not on Stardom World. It's crazy that it's
It's
not.
easy to
The good
find though.
news, the good news of it not being on Stardom World is it is on YouTube. It's on Daily Motion. It's very easy to find. If you type in Io Shirai versus Mayu Iwatani, it pops up in full.
Mhm.
So if you're listening to this and you don't have Stardom World, you can go find it. And as far as I'm concerned, until it goes up on Stardom World, it better not leave these streaming sites. I've got it downloaded. I'll re-upload it if it gets deleted. I don't give a damn because it needs to be readily available, whether it's on the official streaming services or not. It's too good a match to be lost media. Go and watch it. Like, we're talking about legitimately, so it's one of the greatest Stardom matches of all time, and not just
No.
superfluously,
Take
legitimately.
Stardom out of it. Take Stardom out of it.
I'm This is Stardom Road, so I'm focusing just purely within
All
Stardom.
right. Well,
But
I'll say it.
yes,
It's one of the greatest matches of all time. Period.
yes, yes,
Period. I mean, one of the if it's the greatest, greatest in Stardom history, it makes sense. But I just wanted to say that. I just want to say that because there needs to
yeah,
be emphasis. Um,
of course.
it's just fantastic. It's fantastic. I'm gonna end up watching this. We didn't do a big rewatch for this because we weren't doing the match by match type series or anything.
I've literally watched this trilogy multiple times in the past 2 or 3 months for multiple articles I've been
See,
writing lately.
I haven't, to be fair. However, I will be.
You're going to be
That's
changing that.
the beauty of this conversation. It's gonna make me want to watch it.
Stardom Road watch along special episodes.
We can do that because it's on YouTube. Uh, just saying.
Mm,
Anyways, go out of your way to see it. It sets up.
yes.
It's just it. If you only want to watch, if you don't want to watch all three, watch this one. You should watch all three because it's better if you watch all three. Period.
Mm.
It's like every
But
match
the
is
stories
better.
are self-contained, as I mentioned. So, like, you can
Yes,
watch this and get an appreciation for what's going on.
exactly. So, just
Yeah.
fantastic.
At the conclusion of this match, again, this is where it gets really interesting in what Scott was talking about. Io comes across as a real heel for the sort of this 1 to 2 month period. At the conclusion of the match, it's a very different
Mm,
kind of impression that she gives, and ultimately she says, as Scott mentioned, I want to keep being the wrestler that Mayu Iwatani wants to surpass. This is her focus. She wants to be the pinnacle, the litmus test for Mayu Iwatani. Now, after this match, and you look at the timings of everything. So it happened. The first match was in May. Second match was in December. It feels like everything sort of should be building pretty quickly to the final match. Third match doesn't happen till June, and there is that kind of gap there where they're not interacting too much. Queen's Quest is sort of given time to develop properly. Io Shirai needs to sort of build herself up as attempts to be a heel. She becomes a tweener. The
mm,
Io Shirai heel turn doesn't really connect with fans outside of the Mayu Iwatani story because she's just too popular. Like, her character was never going to work as a heel outside of the Mayu Iwatani story, I don't think. And they just kind of realized that and just make a tweener, and especially against Oedo Tai. Because again, you got to look at the timeline. This is 2017. Oedo Tai is just about to become Golden Era Oedo Tai. This is when the faction stuff gets really fun and really interesting. So they kind of accept them Queen's Quest as the tweener faction. Mayu Iwatani just takes a step back, starts to build herself up until we get to June. And this is where, Mayu Iwatani, she goes and wins the white belt. Corey Hojo has another company to go to. She goes to join WWE. And then she wants to do what's never been done before, become the first ever wrestler to hold both the red and white belt simultaneously.
Notably, we were recording this on the day of that the second one was crowned a year ago. Um, just random thing, kind of
Fun
funny.
fact.
Even though I don't recognize that one. But that's neither here nor there. We're getting into this third match now. Yes,
Mm-hmm,
you jump
mm-hmm,
into
mm-hmm.
this one.
Unless there's
This
something you want me to cover in between.
no, because you know this. there's something very special about this for Mayu. Mayu is getting handed the keys. 2/3 of Freedom is supposed to be leaving. Kyrie's gone out the door. Wonder of Stardom title won by Mayu. Io's next, and Io's in rough shape going
Mm,
this match. Very
yeah.
rough shape. Her body is beaten, battered, long title reign. You know, like you said, building Queen's Quest, doing all these different things at the same time. But the reason I love this match is not perfect, and sometimes it's not even pretty, but it's very. That's the reason I love it so much. In many ways, it's the perfect match for Mayu's career at this point to be crowned the double champion.
Mm,
Right? It you had the perfect match already. You had the beautiful match rating superstar 5-star match in this feud. You didn't need this to be that. You just needed this to be that moment. And I think this match is so great because it gets us there. Yeah. You know, Io struggles through this match sometimes. You
yeah.
can just see it. You can just see it. But she does everything in her power to get Mayu this moment. It's the beauty of their friendship. It's the beauty of their sisterhood in many ways. These two are, again, as close as can be. And, when Mayu finally does it, it really does feel like that ultimate moment of like, this was the perfect trilogy.
Mm,
It was. Like, I wouldn't change a thing. Wouldn't change a thing about it. Um, it is the crowning moment. It's Mayu finally beating Io Shirai, becoming World of Stardom champion for the first time. It's the beauty of Stardom. That's what this match is. Stardom's history isn't perfect. It has many bumps and bruises along the way. But when you get that culmination of a story, it's always worth it, right? The journey is always almost as worth it. The culmination was just as worth it here. And, you know, the post match is so wonderful between these two. It's like, you finally did it. And again, it's so hard to watch Io during this match because she's literally put together by like tape. Like legitimately, she's put together by tape. But Mayu did a lot of the heavy lifting, and I think that's kind of the beauty of it, right? Mayu finally got to the point. I will take the lead here. I will be the one because this is my time. And I think that's why I love this match so much. Again, the other two are very different, like in terms of physical capabilities, in terms of where the story was going. But this one was Mayu's match to win, and that just makes it all the more special. Um, and it's incredible again that they did this in a year.
Yeah.
When we talk it through, when we watch it through, it feels so much longer, but it's not. It's just a year.
Mm,
It's a
mm.
great year though.
If you had told me that Io Shirai medically shouldn't have wrestled this match, I would absolutely believe you. Because there are
Mm,
times like in this match, I'm glad. This is one of those matches I'm glad I couldn't watch live because I would have been legitimately like worried for her. Because it's a few times she rolls out of that ring and like she's struggling to get back up, and you can tell she's not selling for the sake of the match. Like she's in rough shape. It's no surprise. Like after this match, like she gets on the microphone afterwards and said, I'm going to take some time off," and she's gone for a month and a half. Uh, she this is what happens when you're champion for a record amount of time and have been carrying the company on your back for a record amount of time. Like she's put in the hard yards and she's being held together by tape just to get through this match. And it's it's a difficult match to watch at times. I find she does everything she can, and for in saying that, like there are times when like it's hard to watch, and then she'll just fire up and just
mm,
be the old EO, and like you can tell like she's doing everything she can just to put these sequences together, and it's one of those kind of heroic efforts, and you're glad like you can watch it now in 2024 and know like she's fine. Like she got
Yeah.
through that. She took a time off. She came back. She got to WWE. She got to do her thing. She's still wrestling now, 8, 9 years later. Like it's a happy story. This isn't one
Yeah.
of those kind of situations where she went too far and paid for it. But you know, it would have been a real shame if they couldn't tell this story. Like
Mhm.
if this trilogy had to end on a Io had to vacate the title and Mayu had to win through some other means, which would have been
Right.
the alternative.
Mhm.
Um, yeah, as you said, like Io controlled the first two matches, and then when it came time, Mayu ran this match.
Mhm.
She was in control. Io was struggling. There was times when it looked like she could win, but Mayu ran this match. She dominated it. She proved that sure, like maybe the cards were in her favor this time. Io came in, she was injured. She was, champion for a record amount of time, so she wasn't 100% healthy. But yeah, you play the hand that's dealt, and she had the right cards at this time. And she didn't have the right cards in May. She didn't have the right cards in December. She had them this time, and she became champion. And yeah, it's the post match is so special and so fitting because it's such a emotional moment for both of them. They can finally be friendly together
Yeah.
again because the story is done. But there's just enough like awkward clumsiness at the befitting of a Mayu championship
Mhm.
moment. They couldn't put the red belt on her because like it feels like she's almost too skinny. The belt wouldn't go around her, and they're just trying to wait for it to go on, and they're standing there awkwardly. It it's just this emotional moment, and then it's just awkward pause, and everyone's laughing. And perfectly. It couldn't be a more Mayu Iwatani moment, which means it couldn't be a more Stardom moment
Mhm.
than this sort of point in June, 2017. Yeah, it's again, I hate to go back to this reference because it's accidental. It's The Dark Knight Rises.
It is.
There's some serious
It is.
problems with it. There's some problems with it, but the good that's there is still really, really good.
Yeah.
Is it as good as the other two? According to Cage Match, it is. I'm actually shocked how high this is rated
Uh-huh.
because of some of the situations with it. For me, it's the weakest of the trilogy, but the moment, like that final moment, the victory, I think really carries it. Um,
Moments carry matches.
Yeah, and I guess seeing Bruce Wayne sipping his cup of tea with Alfred at the end as Mayu Iwatani holding both championships, it's a damn fine moment. It really is. Um, and it's the perfect cap to a perfect trilogy in a lot of ways. It really is.
It is. Like I said, I wouldn't change anything about this trilogy, about this story.
Mm,
Um, even like with my EO hurt in the end, it's like I wouldn't change anything about it because you got to see Mayu in control and Mayu dominating the match, and like this is
mm,
clearly her match to win. Her winning the match is one of the great moments I've watched. Just that entire experience. It's just so perfect. It's so perfect because it's imperfect. It's so perfect because it's like you said, it's Mayu.
mm.
Nothing's supposed to be perfect with Mayu. That's the beauty of Mayu. That's the beauty of her story. That's the beauty of who
Yeah.
she is as a wrestler. Um, and her first World Star title reign wasn't perfect. It's just that's how it goes.
No, it was not.
But that's why
Finally
we
gets
have this.
handed the reins a couple of
There's
months
another
later.
red. She ended up winning the red belt again. I'd argue there's another red belt for her to win someday. Things like that.
Mm. Yeah.
Um, her moments. It, it it's funny to go back to this because of how far she's gone, how far Io's gone. Right, we're sitting in a
Mm.
year where Mayu had a movie come out about her, and she's the IWGP Women's Champion, the longest reigning. She's defended it. She won it from Mercedes Moné. She's defended it against Saori and Shuri and all these greats. While Io Shirai defended a WWE World Championship at WrestleMania.
Yeah.
It's pretty cool. It's pretty
Yeah.
cool what these two ended up doing after that
I
trilogy.
mean, the crazy thing is Io didn't go to WWE after this moment, which was the plan. Like she was meant to drop the title to Io, and she's going to go to WWE.
Yeah.
They balked it. I think it was the heart or the neck. I've heard both things. She comes back
Yeah.
for a year. It
Has
gets
another
sorted out.
great title reign.
Yeah, yeah. Has a white belt title reign because Yoko Bito wins the belt from Mayu and she retires. Mayu gets injured. Io's like, okay, time for me to save Stardom one last time.
Yeah.
And it
Yeah.
sets up another future ace in Momo Watanabe before she leaves.
Yeah. It's the beauty of this feud. There's so many
And
things
it
you
gets
can take
Kagetsu to
from it.
stick around, which sets up
Yeah.
another important title reign. Kagetsu then helps Mayu once more take the reins. Like it's
Yeah.
all like Io does so much for this company behind the scenes here. Maybe
Yeah.
she'd
Yeah. On
already be gone.
accident, to be fair. Let's not act like she did it on purpose. She did after once, it was like, oh, you
Yeah.
actually can't go right now. Oh, okay. But it's so much fun to look back on this story. And I don't mean to be that guy, but it kind of makes me sad with current wrestling sometimes. Just because like nothing has been as good as this for a while, at least for me. Um, I love the many things that are happening. Joshi's very exciting right now, right? We're in the age
Mm-hmm.
of Marigold. We're in the age of whatever Stardom is on its way to becoming. We are, it's a more exciting time. We got past the Stardom's top dog era, right? Stardom exploded. They're now a known product. They're worldwide now, but there's so much more to do and so much more to see. And you know, if rumors play true, if Rossi gets his way, who knows? Maybe we'll see the
This
right things, and this isn't the last time we see them feud. You know?
this story was very much a perfect storm. It was the right people at the right time when Stardom needed them. And in many ways, you could argue maybe Stardom coming into that situation right now where there's a bit of obviously they lost several big name talents and there's an opening there. They're looking to kind of reestablish themselves with some stories. So if the right sort of things fall into place, but like you couldn't have told that story in any other point in time.
Mm-mm.
If they tried to tell it in 2015, even I don't, that would have been too early for my 2015. I don't think she was ready even then. Any later, then you've got Io and Kyrie leaving already, and it's just getting a bit messy. 2018, 2019 with different people, it doesn't work because you need the connection that Io and Mayu had. It's just such a perfect storm with the right people in the right time and the right level of talent to tell a story this perfect and have the patience to wait. Because you look like this is a full year waiting to pull the trigger on Mayu Iwatani in this situation. Would have been very easy to wait until December to do it.
Mm-hmm.
Would have been like very easy to do it in May after she won the Cinderella tournament the second time. Like there's a lot of patience there. Have you seen the internet in 2024? Could you imagine how they would have reacted in December when Mayu lost that match?
Man, people want
Oh,
Starlight
Io
Kid to
Shirai's
be.
had the championship for too long. Mayu Iwatani's never
I know.
winning the red belt. I'm going to watch Ice Ribbon. I think
There,
they were around back then.
there's, there's multiple like stories and matches you can point to now that people are just like, let's get to it, or not now, but in the past couple of years, right?
Yeah.
It's like, let's get to it, let's get to the end. It's like, no, the
Mm.
beauty is telling the story. And like you said, this was the perfect storm. Literally had to happen this way. Like
Mm. Mm.
one slip up, maybe it was gone. Maybe
Yeah.
like
If they'd
like
waited another month, Io might not have been able to do the match.
exactly. So it was the perfect storm. It was the perfect told story. Like we said, I think it's the best story told in Stardom's history. I don't know. I think it's the Stardom experience, start to finish.
Mm. Yeah.
It's what
That
makes
being said,
Stardom.
when I complain about certain wrestlers not winning the title when I think they should, completely different matter to what I was just talking about. I know when it's too late to pull the trigger. Trust me on that.
There are times where it's too late to pull the trigger. That's wrestling history, man. It's like I've
just
been
covering
having
my
this.
ass
I've,
because I sounded like I was very patient, and I
yeah,
know
you're
I'm not
not
always a
patient. You're
patient
not
man.
patient.
Yeah.
Trent's not patient at all, guys. Don't think he's patient.
I
Yeah,
know about wrestlers having to wait for titles that never come to them.
yeah. Well, some people just don't deserve them. Um, I'm not saying who. Not pointing
You don't
fingers.
have to say who.
I don't have to say who. And
That's a
some people get
shotgun blast. There's
and
like
so,
multiple people you could be
and some people
referencing.
get titles that they shouldn't have. You know, that's just what happens. I'm not going to point fingers. I'm not going to name names. It just happens. But this story that we talked about today, perfect story, perfectly executed. I see you drinking your water on purpose like that. But yeah, we good? We good here before we get ourselves in trouble? Uh, it's kind of like dodging bullets here, like before people
I
start
don't.
to assume
I'm not throwing
who I
myself on
mean.
that fire.
I'm not gonna sit here and name names. That's not something I would do ever on a podcast. I would never
No.
name names of people who are undeserving or maybe should have got title matches. I would never do that. I'm not gonna. I'm not gonna because we're ending the show here. Before we let the world know, and by the way, like Trent said, you can watch first and third match on Stardom World. Go
Yes.
do that, and you can just type into Google Io Shirai, Mayu Iwatani. It'll pop up. You can do that. You can type in Io Shirai versus Mayu Iwatani. You can type in Io Shirai, Mayu Iwatani year and climax. It's gonna pop up. It's on every possible free video place. It's good.
The other
Works out.
matches probably are too, but we're not condoning that because there is a proper way to find the other matches.
Yeah,
But they're
yeah. You can go
probably
on
there.
YouTube. You can go on YouTube.
Yeah.
Go on Daily Motion,
Yeah.
like you said. Make sure you watch them. That's the beauty of the show. You
Yes.
get to go back and
Yes.
watch cool stuff. Next time, we're not going to lead you on to watch cool stuff. So sorry. Well, I guess we kind of
Well,
do at
we'll,
that
no,
point.
we'll mention cool stuff, but it's not as
Yeah.
focused.
Yeah. Before we get to that, Trent, hit him with the plugs.
We got a lot of plugs today.
Oh, a lot of plugs.
Yeah.
Happy
I've
for you.
been a
That's nice to
busy
hear.
boy while you've been coughing
You've
and
been a
stuttering.
pluggy plug. I don't know.
Yeah, there's no water in
You've
my
been
house
plugging
to
away.
plug. Yeah, yeah,
Oh,
plugged up. So over at Rasura, at my new home for writing at Joshi, I've got multiple new articles. And because over at Rasura, it's been the month of Mayu, or the month of May, if you want to be
I
saying
see
things
what you did
properly.
there.
Yeah. It's been all focused on Mayu Iwatani over in the month of May at Rasura. I've had two articles drop in between these episodes. So the first article I had drop was all about Mayu Iwatani's second red belt run, which we very very briefly kind of allude to in this episode, looking at how important that reign was and how much that kind of had to shift and change. So she wins the belt and everything's all hunky dory. Bushiroad's taking over, record figures and things, and then COVID and disaster, and she has to kind of right the ship in the
Yeah.
storm and all of that. So deep dive into all of that and look at everything she kind of had to do with there. And then the second article, which I've kind of alluded to quite heavily, look at that, is ranking Mayu Iwatani's greatest matches, the 10 greatest matches. And as I kind of mentioned, I do put them in my order. So I do specify this is my personal opinion, the order ranked from 10 to 1. If you agree with it, fantastic. You're a very smart person. If you disagree with it, fantastic. Tell me how wrong I am. I'm sure you will. Um, whether you agree
Trent's
with it or
wrong a
not, we'll
lot.
see. Hmm?
Trent can be wrong a lot.
Yeah, I disagree
This
with
is a
that.
good list, though. This is
Um,
a good list.
yeah. I think so. It was a really fun article to research. I will say
I
that.
think
I got to watch a lot of Mayu Iwatani.
I think my favorite part is that you put two matches from this year on it, and they're in the top three.
Look, I feel it's justified because they're damn good
Hey,
matches.
I'm not gonna fight it. I actually am going to go back and rewatch one this week.
Mm.
It may be between my two favorite wrestlers because I feel like it, but it's a great list. Everyone should go check it out. It's on resurmag.com. Everyone go check it
Yep.
out. And by the way, if you want to learn more about the Mayu Iwatani Io Shirai story, you can go over to wrestlein.com. Becoming the Icon, Mayu Iwatani versus Io Shirai by Trent Brewer. That's a good place to go check it out. You'll probably see a lot of similarities between this episode and the article, but that's why we plugged it at the end.
There's different focuses. Like there's a
Yes.
lot that I cover in. There's a lot of history based stuff. There's a lot of setting the scene in that we didn't do here,
Which is
and
very
we go
helpful.
a lot more depth into the matches on this episode than we do on that.
Yes.
Because I think talking about matches back and forth is a lot better than just me talking about like moves in written form. I find that very
Yes.
boring to read.
Absolutely.
So I just got
Absolutely
to say,
agree.
here's the stuff that kind of happened.
1
But
year as
yeah,
champs pops me. That
mhm,
pops me
mhm.
in the graphics. It says 1 year as champs. So go check all that out for me. Did you do your social?
At One Up Culture.
Thank you. I didn't think you did, but I was like, didn't you? For me, let's see. What do I got going on? Nothing. Follow me at Scott E Wrestling on Twitter as always. Let's see. What do we got? I've had interviews in the past couple weeks with the likes of Tommy Hayashishita, Miku Ono, who may be your new favorite wrestler if you're watching Marigold. Oh, and you may have heard of her, Sari. Pretty cool. That was an interview where she called out about 75 different people. That's what she does in these interviews, just what she does. She kind of told, for example, a little preview. She pretty much told Mike Iwata she wasn't a champion worth facing. I was like, okay, all right. A little personal. She was like, if Hashimoto was champion, it'd be a different story. I was like,
Ooh.
okay.
Ooh.
She also talked about, her relationship with Natsupoi for the Stardom interest and potentially facing best friends. She broke my heart on that one when she said she wanted a team with Mayu Iwatani. And
I felt so bad. It's like it was basically like if Mayu had asked me, I would have said yes,
yeah.
and they
And
might
like
have won that match.
if you this is also true. If you know me, those are my two favorite wrestlers. So it was like we just ripped my heart out in the
Mm.
interview. I was like, oh my god, it was right there. And we don't have much time to run that match. So she said, I'll team with Natsupoi then if I have to. Which is of course her best
I'll
friend. So
form my
definitely
own
check.
tag team with Natsupoi and Hookers.
Exactly. So check that out. Check those interviews out. You can check out Ring Post Radio every Sunday morning. We did do an AEW review, doing pretty well. I don't remember if I liked the show or not because I recorded it later than this somehow. I started it at this time that we're recording now. Think about that, Trent.
Ooh.
That's how late that show ended.
Are you recording with
And
an American on that one?
yeah, it's just the pay-per-view didn't end till this time.
Oh, right. Yeah.
Pain. You can check out the 5-Star Joshi show every single week. Last week we had Margot Fields Forever review. That's also up on YouTube. We also reviewed Stardom Flashy Champions. I shared my problems with current Stardom. If that interests you, there's problems. And then written wise, I did have a Marigold Fields Forever written review. I will definitely have one for the next Corkin as well, which is already looking pretty good. And I'll have one for whatever Stardom the Conversion is over on WrestlePurist.com. I don't know what the hell that means. I'm terrified what Stardom the Conversion means, but that's something to look forward to. And maybe I'll write something up some other day about something. But I do have an article in mind.
Really focused and specific there.
So I have an article in mind, but it's more like I want to write about Sauri's 2024. So I'm just going to start it. And then as time goes on, I'll have it done by the time the year comes around.
You don't want to finish it in June when there's 6 more months to.
Yeah, there's 6 more months to I'll have a conversation real quick. Wrestler of the Year is a fun conversation, right? Always fun. And then there's, Mayu and Sari that just is like, what if we killed the conversation? And at one point, I was like, oh, it looks like Mayu's gonna, kind of run away with this. And then Sari started getting more and more matches. I was like, oh, well, now it's not fair.
I was thinking, like, everyone's talking about Serena. It's like, are we forgetting how good Mayu's year has been? And then I was remembering, hang on, yeah, Serena's like having so many more opportunities. And it's like, look, maybe depending on the 5-star format, she might claw it back. But right now, it is kind of a Serena race.
This is the reason it's scary because Sari announced 2 Sariisms and she's fighting Julia.
Yeah,
that's 3 guarantees.
And Sukaban.
All right, chill Anyways, our next episode, this is where we ultimately want to get to. Our next
Mm.
episode, we're going back to tier lists. I know everyone loved the tier list. People got a
Yes.
little mad at us with the tier list, but I digress. It was true. It was true. Starlight Kid's placement was true. And I will take that to the I'm not going to take that to the grave. It's not that deep. But I will take it with me because it was correct. Okay?
Mm.
And we are going to do
I'm
another one.
surprised you're the one jumping on that grenade because I think I was the one who first suggested that ranking too.
You know, that's the type of podcast partner I am. Willing to take. By the way, our beginner's guide to Stardom 2024 did so well. It's really sad how much changed within a day. But hey, people keep listening to it.
But just think, like that did so well, like when it was only relevant for a day. If we do one that's relevant for a week, like we're going to be so popular.
We're gonna be. I know. Well, wait till 2025. We're not doing another one till then. Anyways, so the first time we did a Stardom roster 2023 tier list, we thought let's do another one because I think the video aspect of that is very fun for everyone. And we said, what can we do that isn't the roster grade, which is going to be a recurring thing.
And
And
that's
Trent,
just we're only doing that at the start of a year. That's a
yes,
we're not doing every 6 months.
we're not. No. Okay, everyone, Mayu's S tier. Everyone else doesn't matter. There you go. Anyways, not to get off track, but we will be tier ranking the red belt reigns in Stardom history. So yes, that includes both of Io's reigns, it includes both of Mayu's reigns. It does not. Yeah, tough. It's one's at the top and one, woof. Might have to be a not applicable to just like anyways, and then of course we will probably not include Micah because she's in the middle
unless
of
she loses it between now and then, because like we want to factor in the full reign. Because even though like she's had it for a while, you've got to factor in like the full
reign.
course of the title reign. Yeah, it'd be unfair to rank it, because like some reigns start off weak and finish really strong, and like that could be her, or she might have a really weak second half of the reign. Like, got to judge it on its full merits.
She's off to a start. Truly one of the starts of all time. Anyways, that's the next episode to look forward to. So if you're interested in the video version, it'll be up. You can also always listen to the podcast version anywhere you get your podcast.
Yeah, that'll still work. It's just less interesting. Yeah, less interesting. It's fun.
Reactions are fun for those. For those. When me and Trent maybe I don't know if we'll really fight over any of them, truthfully. I don't think there's one that like we're like, oh, this was bad. And yeah, I think we'll be fine.
I don't think there'll be drastic arguments. It's more like placements in one spot, or if one reign is here versus here. And
it'll be like fighting between.
Pedantic.
Yeah. But you just have to wait and see. We'll be recording that one soon. So that'll be out in 2 weeks. We're back on track now. So don't worry. We're doing it back on the weekly bi-weekly schedule. So for Trent, I'm Scott. Until next time, this was the Stardom Road podcast right here on the Countout Podcast Network. See ya.